Hello everyone, welcome back. Right here on the table I have two brand new knives for you, and these both are Protech Malibus. And so as the current state of affairs are, here in summer of 2021, getting your hands on a Malibu can be difficult because as soon as they appear at retailers, they sell out almost instantly. So how on earth did I get two of these things and why? And I'm going to explain that in just a few minutes, but I'm going to take advantage. I have two of these knives, one in the Reverse Tanto and one in the Wharncliffe. So I wanted just to make a few quick comparisons. And now my comparisons might be unique only to these two samples I have on the table, but I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and just let you make your own decisions about what type of knife you want to purchase. So first off, I'm going to talk about the Reverse Tanto right here. So this Reverse Tanto has an acid wash finish. This is an exclusive knife to GPKnives. So this particular variant with the black handles, the acid wash blade, and the blasted hardware, you're only going to find there. So this is what the box is labeled as, the 5202 Malibu flipper, black handle, acid wash finish, 20 CV Reverse Tanto blade. So this is the first one I picked up, and I just was so happened to be browsing their site, looked in the new arrivals section, saw this was there, and I just immediately put in my info and made the purchase because I did not have a chance prior to this to purchase a Malibu, and I had been looking for one for a while. And for most of you, that is how you're going to luck out and happen to pick up a Malibu. You're just going to get lucky. You're going to be browsing one of the sites, see it in stock, and hit it, add it to your cart and hit checkout as soon as you can. But this particular Malibu, very nice snappy action. And of course, everybody on YouTube, everybody in the knife community, they praise these knives for their action. And it is a really nice knife. It feels great to flip. I cannot lie. The centering is perfection here. Very nicely done. And this particular variant of the knife has a mostly sterile blade. The markings you're going to see on it are right here on the spine. And they match it very well with the acid wash, but you'll just see the Protech logo and the blade steel, CPM 20 CV. No other markings on this knife at all. And for most people, they're going to be hard-pressed to even notice this lettering in real life. So very much a sterile knife, and a lot of people like that feature. So very nice Reverse Tanto here. But I bought this knife, and not too long after, I was browsing Blade HQ. And Blade HQ recently went to Blade Show 2021, and they picked up a limited run of knives, and this is part of that. So they were kind of sprinkling these out onto their website a few at a time, and I just happened to be browsing the site when it happened. So as soon as I saw it, I added it to cart, checked out, and so what I have in my hands right here, this is the Blade Show 2021 edition, or at least one of the editions they sold there. And this is also an acid wash blade, for comparison's sake. But of course, you'll notice it's the Wharncliffe style blade. And what also makes this knife a little more unique is the button lock. You'll notice it looks a little different. It has a pearl inlay. And it doesn't really come across great on camera, but there's a nice little blue iridescence in there. Very catchy. And so that added a little bit of value to the knife. And surprisingly, believe it or not, with the pearl inlay and the limited nature of the Blade Show edition, it only costs $10 more than the Reverse Tanto GPKnives edition. So that was kind of a good deal there. And that's one of the reasons why I opted to buy it. Because, this it's limited. It's not much more in price. So the question I have here is, which one am I going to keep? I'm not sure if I'm going to keep them both. My initial thoughts were, I'll sell the Reverse Tanto because, it's not quite as limited. But then I have them both in hand, and there are pros and cons with both. So I'm just going to go over those one at a time. First off, going back to the Reverse Tanto here, straight out of the box, like I said, the action is really perfect, very nice. But when the knife is locked open, right out of the box, there is some side-to-side play. So I kind of display that as best as I possibly can. It's really minute, but it's there. So you can kind of see that. And to be perfectly honest, I could totally just tighten the pivot and that would probably go away. But considering that I might be considering selling this knife, I don't really want to make any modifications to it, unless, a particular buyer wants me to do that. But that being said, out of the box, a little bit of side to side. Not really a big deal. Most people aren't going to notice that. Same thing, the other flaw on this knife, most people wouldn't notice, but I did, is if we look right here on the flipper tab, you're going to notice they actually missed acid wash on the tip of it. So there's kind of that line where it goes from acid wash to satin. And they didn't do it on both sides, so this side is fine, but it's noticeable if you're looking for imperfections. So let me show you in comparison to this one right here. So take a look side by side. You're going to see the acid wash on the Blade Show version is complete versus the GPKnives version, which is just maybe just a small flaw there. They missed it. Again, affects the functionality absolutely 0%, but it's just, you know, a slight flaw that I noticed on the knife. Beyond that, though, on both of these knives, I love the acid wash. You know, recently I've been starting to favor acid wash, or stone wash, I should say, blades because they don't pick up fingerprints like satin does. If you've ever had a nice satin knife, and let me show you just one as an example right here. This is my Monterey Bay Knives. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the name of it. But the mini old guard. But if you look at that satin blade right there, it just and taking it out, you can already see the fingerprints that have been on it. Touching it at all, you get smudges all over the place, so that's no good, no bueno. But beautiful knife otherwise. Just in terms of fingerprints, acid wash does not pick up that as well. Stone wash does not pick that up as well. So this, the Reverse Tanto, I really do like the action. Just a few slight flaws out of the box, but really no deal breakers. You know, I'm being very, very nitpicky here because I'm a knife person, and maybe you will be or maybe not. But right here we have the Wharncliffe blade. And so now this one right here, no real flaws on this knife. There's absolutely no play. It's, you know, lockup is super solid in every direction. The only thing that really surprised me is because when I look at the pictures of these knives, I was favoring the Wharncliffe by far. That was the one I preferred. But now that they're in hand, the Wharncliffe is not nearly as snappy a flipper as the Reverse Tanto. I mean, it's not like it's bad at flipping, but if you're not using wrist, it's just not quite as crisp. You know, and but again, I'm nitpicking here. These are really, really fine details that I'm going into. And most people, if you only had this one to begin with, you would not notice any difference. But holding them side by side, without any wrist action, this Reverse Tanto flies out of the blade, or flies out of the handle. This one right here, it comes out, it flies out, but just not quite as robust. You know, so that's really the only difference here. And so by all means, I'm definitely going to keep this Wharncliffe version because I love the fact that it's limited. That aspect of it, you know, has my collector senses tingling. So I definitely do enjoy that aspect of the knife. But in terms of actually using and carrying it, if I was forced to make a choice as to which knife to carry on a daily basis, I would probably choose the Reverse Tanto. You know, which had you asked me that same question before I bought the knives, I would have chosen the Wharncliffe 10 out of 10 times. Because I like the look of the Wharncliffe better than the Reverse Tanto, but the flipping action is much better on the Reverse Tanto model. But here's my tip. So this is kind of the crux of the video. If you want to get your hands on a Protech Malibu, how do you do it? Because they sell out so quick. I'm going to give you my tips to get this knife or any knife that's going to be slightly sought after. I go to 3 or 4 different websites, but the main ones I purchase from Blade HQ, GPKnives, and sometimes Knife Center. Those are my 3. Go on those sites in the new arrival section between, I would say, 9:30 and 11:30 a.m. And I'm in Pacific time, so apply that to whatever your time zone is. That seems to be when they start adding stock on their site. So whenever they get something new, it appears on the new arrivals page or the new items page. And if you just refresh that page about every half hour between 9:30 and 11:30, you're going to start to notice things populate. And so that is the exact times when I made these purchases here. I know that time of day to go on the website and check things out. So if you're not working in that time and you're available just to open up your phone or a computer to refresh that page a few times, you might be surprised at what pops up. And so, of course, this is going to be on weekdays between 9:30 and 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. That is my tip to getting either the Malibu or any of the other sought after knives that you might be looking for and you know are going to be very popular and have a lot of competition to pick up. Though that is my pro tip. Good luck out there. If you have any questions about either of these knives, feel free to ask. I'd be happy to take a closer look at any one aspect of the knife that I missed in this video. But I'm sorry I bought 2, so if you're feeling, left out of the game, I apologize for buying 2 and taking that one more out of circulation. But that being said, if I could do it, you could do it. Nothing special about how I bought these. I was in the right place at the right time, and I think you can get one too. So again, have a nice day, everybody, and bye-bye.